Here's what would happen if we put all the nukes in the whole world into one spot and detonated them all at once. Well, currently there are about 15,000 nuclear weapons on Earth. Let me put into perspective how much destructive power that really is. On Earth, there are about 4,500 cities and urban areas with at least 100,000 inhabitants. This means with our nuclear arsenal, we can destroy every single city on planet Earth, killing over 3 billion people. But what if we made a huge pile of all 15,000 bombs and pulled the trigger? 1 second after detonation, a fireball 50 kilometers across vaporizes everything in its way, and everything within 250 kilometers will instantly start to burn. The pressure waves of the explosion will circle the Earth tens of times over the next few weeks. The mushroom cloud of this explosion will be so massive it will push up against space itself, and the amount of radioactive material in the environment will double worldwide. Welcome to ridiculous things going on around the world right now that for some reason you just haven't heard about, part 22. First off, scientists recently discovered a way to trick cancer cells into consuming toxic drugs. This would increase the effectiveness of chemotherapy treatments, which is huge. They also discovered a new class of anti-cancer compounds which effectively kills liver and breast cancer cells. This lays the foundation for new cancer treatments and gets us closer to curing it. Next, scientists discovered liquid water in a meteorite that formed 4.6 billion years ago. And finding water in a meteorite that has been traveling through space for billions of years is a big deal. Next, scientists in Israel found a creature that can regenerate every single one of its organs after being cut into pieces. So if you cut it into 3 different pieces, it will turn into 3 separate animals. The creature is not too far from humans on the tree of life. Maybe we can use its regenerative abilities to help humans. Welcome to ridiculous stuff going on around the world right now that for some reason you just haven't heard about, part 14. Scientists just detected mysterious rumblings from inside of Mars. NASA scientists believe the seismic events are caused by a sudden release of energy from the planet's interior, but the origin of this release remains unknown and puzzling. On April 7th, there will be a pink moon that will slightly destabilize the tectonic plates and cause a rise in seismic activity, and it will also cause large tides in oceans. But luckily, all of these effects of the pink moon will be minimal and not cause any devastating effects. Also, there is going to be 2 more supermoons later this year. Scientists also just discovered a dinosaur that lived 80 million years ago in Argentina. And it was so terrifying that they literally named it the one who causes fear. Welcome to ridiculous shit going on around the world right now that for some reason you just haven't heard about, part 12. First off, President Trump just signed a COVID-19 relief bill, and included in there was something about aliens. Included in the bill was that the Pentagon has 180 days to turn over all information they have on UFOs to the public. So we might get official government confirmation of aliens this year. Also, China recently created their own artificial sun. It can heat up to 150 million degrees in a matter of seconds, and it is 10 times hotter than the core of the sun. Also, scientists recently found 2 new types of fungi that turns flies into zombies. Let's just hope that this doesn't somehow spread to humans. Welcome to ridiculous shit going on around the world right now that for some reason you just haven't heard about, part 11. Israeli scientists recently discovered a way to use oxygen to reverse the process of aging by 25 years. Scientists gave 35 adults over the age of 64 a oxygen treatment every day for 3 months, and discovered old and malfunctioning cells in the body could be reversed. Also, scientists just discovered outer space isn't actually pitch black like we always thought it was. NASA used photos taken of outer space and removed all known sources of visible light from them. And apparently there was still plenty of unexplained light, and scientists don't know what the source of this light is. Also, scientists discovered a planet that has oceans of lava and where it also rains rocks. Also, scientists discovered that there is water on the sunlit side of the moon. If you want longer videos, check out my YouTube, links in my bio. Welcome to ridiculous shit going on around the world right now that for some reason you just haven't heard about, part 10. A startup company named Hermes just raised over $16 million to build a jet that travels at Mach 5. That means you can go from New York to London in under 90 minutes. Or you could go from New York to Los Angeles in under 30 minutes. Also, a coronavirus vaccine that has a 90% protective rate has been tested and it seems to work. It has been tested on over 43,000 people, and if everything keeps moving smoothly like it has been, this could be it. Also, NASA just claimed that the Milky Way galaxy has at least 300 million habitable planets with liquid water on their surfaces. And the closest of these planets are only 20 light years away, so that means life on other planets could be closer than we think. Also, scientists just found the STD chlamydia in the deepest reaches of the Arctic Ocean, and they have no idea how it survives there or how it even got there. This 15-year-old boy chased a car on his bike for 15 minutes to rescue this 5-year-old girl after she was abducted from her front yard, and where he is today will definitely shock you. Back in 2013, 5-year-old Jocelyn Rojas was playing in her grandma's front yard when all of a sudden an older man grabbed her by her neck and shoved her into his car. Tamar Boggs, who lived in the same neighborhood, heard of the abduction and wanted to help. He hopped onto his bike and rode around until he spotted a maroon car that seemed to be avoiding police officers and roadblocks. He chased it for 15 minutes until he got close enough that he saw Jocelyn sitting in the front seat of the car. Tamar locked eyes with the abductor and said, "I see you." And this freaked out the criminal so much that he pushed the little girl out of his car and sped away. She was completely fine, and this act of bravery by Tamar is the only reason Jocelyn is alive today. But this is when the story gets even crazier. Just 3 years after saving Jocelyn's life, Tamar robbed a grocery store at gunpoint and is going to be going to jail for up to 10 years. This 7-year-old girl used her body as a human shield to save her mother's life, and the way she did it will make you cry. In 2007, 7-year-old Alexis Goggins was on her way to a birthday party with her mom and her mom's friend, when suddenly a hooded figure jumped into the backseat of the car with a gun. It was actually her mom's ex-boyfriend, Calvin Tilley. Alexis's mom pleaded for him not to hurt her or her daughter, but he didn't listen. Calvin pulled the trigger twice before Alexis took action. She screamed, "Don't hurt my mother," at the top of her lungs, then she jumped between the two of them. She used her tiny body as a human shield, absorbing the next 6 shots from Calvin's gun. But this is when the story gets even crazier. Doctors told Alexis's mom that Alexis would never be able to walk or talk ever again, but they were super wrong. Even after losing an eye and having to go through 6 surgeries, she made a full recovery and recently graduated high school. This 14-year-old boy protected a rape victim from her attacker, and the way he did it is so heroic. On January 16, 2013, James Pearson was watching his 2 younger siblings when he heard frantic banging at the door of his house. Though frightened, James unlocked the door to an alarming sight. It was a woman who was wrapped in clear packing tape with bruises on her face and cradling one arm. She said she had been raped by a man who held her at gunpoint and was transporting her in a car when she escaped. All of a sudden, James saw headlights coming up his driveway, but the 14-year-old did not waste any time. He locked all the house doors, herded everyone into the bathroom, turned off all the lights, and grabbed his hunting knife and waited. And this is when the story gets even crazier. The rapist Eric Ramsey was unable to break in, so he moved on to another plan. He started pouring gasoline on the house and setting it on fire. Luckily, James's father came home just in time to put out the fire before it could spread. And the attacker tried escaping the scene but was later shot and killed. This man ordered Domino's every day for 10 years until Domino's employees realized something was very wrong, and what happened will shock you. Kirk Alexander is a 48-year-old man who lives alone in his house in Salem, Oregon. And his favorite food is pizza, and for 10 years Alexander has ordered from the same Domino's pizza shop every day. But one day he suddenly stopped, and the Domino's employees were very shocked when they found out why. Sarah Fuller, the general manager for the Domino's shop, saw that he hadn't ordered in 11 days straight, and she knew something was wrong. So Fuller decided to send an employee named Tracy Hemblin to go check on their loyal customer. As he approached the front door, he could see that the lights inside were on, but when he knocked, no one answered. So Sarah called 911, and when police arrived, they found him on the floor gasping for air. He had suffered a stroke, but this is when the story gets way better. He has since made a full recovery, and the host of Good Morning America gave the entire restaurant staff an amazing gift. They all got tickets to the premiere of Captain America: Civil War. Believe it or not, these 3 animals can live forever. Number 1, we have tardigrades, or better known as water bears. These microscopic animals are the most indestructible species of animals on Earth. They can survive radiation, boiling liquids, and even outer space without any protection. They survive by going into an almost death-like state called cryptobiosis, and they can stay in that state forever. Number 2, alligators and crocodiles. Aging has absolutely no effect on them. Although they can't die of natural aging, nature always has a way to kill them. The way they die is out of starvation or if they contract the disease. Number 3. Regenerating flatworms. These creepy crawlers are famous for their regeneration abilities. When a worm is cut, it can form into 2 separate worms. This apparently limitless regeneration also applies to aging and damaged tissue. This allows the worms to cheat death forever. This 9-year-old girl jumped in front of a truck to save her little sister's life, and she got a really awesome reward for it. On a rainy day in February 2011, Anaya Rucker and her 5-year-old sister Camry tried to cross the street to catch their school bus. But the rain was so heavy that they could not see an oncoming truck. Without hesitation, Anaya ran and pushed her sister out of harm's way and took the impact of the truck herself. She broke both of her legs and actually had to get her left leg amputated. She also broke her neck, lost a kidney, and had her spleen injured. But this is when the story gets way better. After her heroic actions, Anaya ended up on the reality show Extreme Makeover Home Edition, and she was gifted a full scholarship to Berry College. And just last year, Berry College fulfilled its promise and Anaya moved into her new dorm room. And she is so excited for the future as she is finally able to walk again due to her new prosthetic leg. Strangers bought all the ice pops from this old man's cart to help him get out of the heat. Then they gave him $60,000. On Father's Day, Don Rosario, a 70-year-old man, was pushing a refrigerator cart around a Chicago neighborhood selling ice pops. That's when some kind neighbors decided to buy all of his ice pops so that he could go home and rest. And this is when the story gets even better. The kind neighbors that bought all of his ice pops recorded the interaction and posted it on TikTok. Their username is Miklo98, and after their TikTok went viral, they set up a GoFundMe to help Don Rosario retire. Their initial goal was to raise $10,000, but generous strangers from all around the world have donated over $60,000. After COVID canceled all flights, this man sailed solo across the Atlantic Ocean to reach his 90-year-old father. Juan Manuel wanted more than anything to be reunited with his elderly parents in Argentina in time for his father's upcoming 90th birthday. But there was 5,600 miles of ocean between him and his family, so he decided he was gonna sail home. It took him 85 days to sail from Argentina to Portugal, and around 30 days in he ran out of fuel completely and was left to rely purely on wind power. But 85 days after leaving Argentina, he arrived to port in Portugal and he was tested for COVID-19 and he cleared. And Juan Manuel and his father were reunited just in time for Father's Day. This 17-year-old hero caught this toddler when she fell out of a second-story window. Back in July, Fuzi Zabat was working on the streets of Turkey when he noticed this 2-year-old had wandered away from her mother as she was cooking dinner and was approaching an open window. Fuzi was very concerned as this window was on the second story. Shortly after Fuzi crossed the street, the toddler tumbled out of the window, but luckily she fell right into the arms of the teenager. And here is the video of him catching her. This man won the lottery, and what he is spending all the money on is so wholesome it will make you smile. 79-year-old Jack Meyer won the lottery in 2006, and sadly shortly after that he lost his wife Mirna to breast cancer. So he decided to use all of his earnings to rent a bunch of billboards around his town to urge young women to get checked regularly for breast cancer and really pay attention to their health. The billboards cost him more than $2,000 each every single month. But after losing his wife to breast cancer, he was determined to make a change. He won $350,000 in the Supercast jackpot. And when asked how long he's going to keep doing what he's doing, this is what he had to say.
How long are you going to keep doing this?
Until I run out of money. That's my feelings.
3, 2, 1.
You could have the ability to do this. About 8% of people can. This skill is called voluntary nystagmus, where your eyes move side to side so fast it looks like they're vibrating. If you want to find out how to do this, listen carefully. First, you need to hold your finger about a foot in front of you. Now bring your finger closer until it's almost blurry. At that point, shift your focus between your finger and the background behind it really fast. This will cause your eyes to shake. Comment if you tried it. These identical twins married another set of twins even though doctors told them not to do it. Twins Brittany and Brianna literally do everything together. They even went to law school at the same time and got the exact same grades. When they graduated, they worked at the same law firm and would go home and sleep in the same bed. That's when they met twins Josh and Jeremy and they instantly hit it off. And when it came time to pop the question, both of the twins proposed at the exact same time. Weeks later, all 4 of them walked down the aisle together. After that, both couples moved into the same house and now live together. What's even crazier is that they just got pregnant at the same time. But here's the thing, most of the time when two siblings have children, they're considered cousins. But doctors say that's not the case with them since they're identical twins. Instead, their children will be full siblings even though they have different parents. This 76-year-old man saved the lives of all of his students from a school shooter, and the way he did it is so heroic. On April 16, 2007, 76-year-old Dr. Labrescu was teaching his engineering class at Virginia Tech, when all of a sudden a shooter opened fire in the school and was about to burst into his classroom. But without hesitation, Dr. Labrescu, who is a Holocaust survivor, showed his courageous personality once again, as he sprinted to the door and held it shut with his own body. He shouted out orders for his students to kick out the windows and jump down to the first floor and escape. And as all of his students made it to safety, Dr. Labrescu was shot 5 times through the door, including one to the head, which sadly killed him. The killer named Cho Seong-ho killed 32 people that day before committing suicide. But the death total that day would have been a lot higher if it wasn't for Dr. Labrescu's heroic actions. This man wrestled a shark to retrieve his nephew's arm. In 2001 in Florida, a boy named Jesse had his arm bitten off by a shark. His uncle carried him out of the water and gave him heart massages until medical assistance arrived. The uncle then went back into the water and wrestled with the shark until he grabbed it and pulled it to shore. He then pried the shark's jaws open and pulled his nephew's arm out. They kept the boy's arm on ice until it arrived at the hospital, and thankfully they got it there on time and they were able to reattach his arm. This man has saved over 400 people from taking their own lives, and his story will make you smile. Every Saturday and every Sunday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. for the past 17 years, 52-year-old Chen Si rides 12 miles on his electric scooter from his home to the Nanjing Yangtze River Bridge. At 200 feet above water, this bridge is the most common suicide spot in the world. Chen uses all of his might to stop people from taking their own lives. He talks, he grabs and holds strangers in his arms until they stop struggling. And since he can't always be physically on the bridge, he has signs all over with uplifting quotes and his personal phone number. He even rents and pays for a 2-bedroom flat that's right next to the bridge, so that those in need could have a place to stay after being saved from the bridge. This officer talked this suicidal man out of taking his own life 8 years ago, and they just reunited, and it's the most wholesome thing you'll ever see. Back on March 11th, 2005, Kevin Berthia was about to take his life by jumping off of the Golden State Bridge, when all of a sudden he heard the voice of Kevin Briggs calling out to him from above. After a 60-minute life-changing conversation, Briggs managed to convince Berthia to climb back over the rail and give life another shot. Since that significant day, Berthia hasn't looked back and is now happily married with 2 children. And recently he was able to thank the man that made this all possible. The pair reunited at a ceremony for suicide prevention, where Berthia stood and gave a speech. He said, "I didn't want him to try to stop me that day, but now I'm glad he did. All I can say is that I am truly grateful Briggs gave me an opportunity to live." This 8-year-old saved 6 people from a burning mobile home, but sadly, this story has a tragic end. This hero right here is Tyler Duhan, and he woke up at 4 in the morning one day and he was the first to notice a fire in his grandfather's mobile home. He woke up 6 of his family members and was able to save their lives. And 2 of the lives he saved included children aged 4 and 6. Once he knew all 6 of them were safe, Tyler ran back into the burning mobile home to help his disabled grandfather get out of the blazing trailer. But sadly, he never made it out, and when the fire was extinguished, the firefighters saw Tyler and his grandfather's bodies together on a bed. The burnt bodies showed that Tyler was trying to lift his grandfather, who was his best friend, out of the mobile home before he sadly succumbed to heat and smoke. Tyler had an honorary firefighter funeral and will always be remembered as a hero. This Starbucks employee received over $100,000 in tips after refusing to serve a customer who wasn't wearing a mask. So all Starbucks now are requiring all customers to wear a mask at all cafe locations. But this lady named Amber Lynn Giles thinks she can do whatever she wants. One day, Giles walked into a Starbucks. Lyndon Gutierrez politely asked her if she had a face mask. Gutierrez told her that masks were company policy, which made Giles flip Gutierrez off, yell in his face. She then took this photo of Gutierrez and threatened to get him fired. This incident led a sympathetic stranger named Matt Cohen to start a virtual tip jar for Gutierrez on GoFundMe, and it has raised over $100,000. But believe it or not, this story gets even crazier. Giles is so crazy that she said she wants to sue for half of the funds that were donated to Gutierrez. And Giles says that she is the one that is owed an apology. But wait guys, I posted a new YouTube video today. Click the link in my TikTok bio to go watch it. This 13-year-old boy saved the lives of all the kids on his school bus, and you won't believe how he did it. It was a regular morning in April 2012, and Jeremy was sitting in his usual seat, only a few seats from the front row, when all of a sudden he saw the bus driver shake frantically and slump down in his seat. The bus kept going forward, but the driver's hands had left the wheel and nothing was guiding the bus. The 7th grader jumped into action, grabbing the controls and steering the bus of over 15 other kids to the side of the road safely. He couldn't brake the bus because he couldn't reach the pedals, but he did manage to bring the vehicle to a stop by yanking the keys out of the ignition. And this is when the story gets even better. Jeremy wasn't the only hero on the bus that morning. One of his best friends, Johnny Wood, performed CPR on the driver until help arrived. This 12-year-old's quick thinking is the only reason him and his 2 siblings are alive today. This is Timmy Miles, and in 2011, his mom took him and his 2 siblings to an isolated area of Cibola County, New Mexico. She then forced all of them to take a huge amount of pills before taking the medication herself. And after a few minutes, they were all unconscious. But the car they were in was still running, and after a few hours, it caught fire. Timmy woke up before the fire spread throughout the vehicle, but his attempt to extinguish it was unsuccessful. Thinking quickly, Timmy pulled everyone out of the car. He and his siblings suffered first-degree burns and smoke inhalation, but they did survive. The mother did die, however. And this is when the story gets even crazier. Since it was absolutely freezing outside, the kids had to crawl back into the car after it stopped burning to stay warm throughout the night. And when the sun rose the next day, they hiked to safety. This 6-year-old saved his little sister's life, and you won't believe what happened after. On July 9th, Bridger Walker, who was only 6 years old, jumped into action when a huge German Shepherd charged towards his 4-year-old little sister. He shielded his sister from the dog with his own body and was brutally attacked. The dog leaped and lashed onto Bridger's cheek, and Bridger had to undergo 2-hour surgery and get 90 stitches to fix his cheek. And this is when the story gets even crazier. It turns out that Bridger is a huge fan of the Marvel superheroes. Chris Evans, who is Captain America, heard of Bridger's story. Chris Evans FaceTimed him and is gonna send him an authentic Captain America shield because he was such a hero. Robert Downey Jr., who is Iron Man, also FaceTimed him and said he is gonna send him an even better gift than a Captain America shield. Even Tom Holland, who is Spider-Man, said that Bridger is invited anytime he wants to set during the filming of Spider-Man 3. Believe it or not, 2020 just got even crazier. 2020 really won't let us catch a break. So back in April of this year, the Pentagon released and confirmed the authenticity of 3 UFO sightings. And now the Pentagon is saying that they have a UFO unit and that they are going to be releasing their findings to the public in the next 180 days. And the craziest part is these findings are talking about off-world vehicles not made on this Earth. So we are getting into alien territory, and it could be a possibility that by the end of this year, the government will show us aircraft from other planets. Here are some lies your parents told you as a kid that you probably still believe. Number 1, if you swallow your gum, it'll stay in your stomach for 7 years. This is completely false, and it moves along just like anything else you eat. Number 2, cracking your knuckles will give you arthritis. This is completely false, and it will not result in any permanent damage at all. Number 3, sitting too close to the TV will ruin your eyesight. This is absolutely false, and it will not affect your eyesight at all. Here are the 6 most common dreams and what they say about you. Number 1, we have falling. Falling dreams is a sign that something in your life isn't going well. It might suggest that you need to rethink a choice or consider a new direction in some area of your life. Number 2, we have being chased. Being chased in your dreams means that you're trying to avoid something in your daily life. Number 3, we have flying. A dream of you flying means that you have a desire to flee or escape from the realities of life. Number 4, we have being naked in public. Dreams of you being naked in public could mean that you feel like a phony or that you are afraid of revealing your imperfections or shortcomings. Number 5, dreams about losing teeth. A dream about you losing teeth means that you are worried about your attractiveness or your appearance, or you are concerned that you might have said something embarrassing. Number 6, failing a test or the fear of taking a test. These dreams mean that you feel unprepared for the challenges of your waking life. Scientists are very puzzled over a mysterious glowing hole in the bottom of the ocean. 2020 really does get crazier every day. So scientists are flocking to Florida's Gulf Coast for a glimpse of a mysterious glowing 425 feet deep blue hole. And this hole is 155 feet below the water surface. Little is known about blue holes due to their lack of accessibility and unknown distribution and abundance. But remarkably, they actually discovered 2 dead but intact small-toothed sawfish that were actually 12 feet in length at the bottom of the hole. And these sawfish are actually endangered species. This shows that many endangered or thought to be extinct animals could be lurking down in the hole. And they're also looking to see if blue holes are hiding new species of animals. Scientists plan to embark on a new mission to a second, deeper area of the hole in August. But knowing 2020, who knows what they would discover down there.